Welcome to Salt and Siren, the current situation. I'm your host, Brianna, a marine biology student, a mother, a military wife, and a lifelong lover of the ocean. And in this podcast, we are going to take a closer look at what's happening beneath the surface. So let's dive in. Have you ever stood on a dark beach late at night and swirled your hand through the water and watched the sea catch fire? Not real fire, something quieter than that. Electric blue, like you accidentally disturbed something alive and ancient and secret, and just for a second it answered you back in light. I think about that image a lot. The idea that something dark, something you can't fully see or understand, might be full of light you haven't found yet. The darkness isn't empty, it's just waiting for the right kind of disturbance. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. In the ocean, and honestly in life too. What it means to make your own light when the world around you isn't providing much. What it means to keep glowing anyway, even when nobody's watching. Even when the pressure is immense. Even when you're deep in water and the surface feels very far away. But we'll get there, because today we're diving into one of my favorite ocean paradoxes. How some of the darkest places on Earth are also the brightest. This is the light that doesn't come from the sun. It doesn't come from a flashlight or from the surface at all. It comes from life itself. Today on Salt and Siren, we're talking about bioluminescence. How marine life lights up, sparkles, glows, and what that living life can teach us about connection before conservation. Welcome back to Salt and Siren. I'm so glad you're here. If you were with us in the last episode, you'll remember we spent some time with the ocean's oddballs. The Dumbo octopus, the vampire squid, creatures that prove that weird is just another word for wonderful. Today, we're staying in that deep, strange neighborhood, but we're turning the lights on, or at least the animals are. Let's start with the basics, because I promised you science nerd level detail and plain language at the same time, and I intend to deliver on both. So, what is bioluminescence? Bioluminescence is light made by living organisms through a chemical reaction inside their own bodies. Think fireflies, but underwater. And often way, way weirder. Most glowing organisms use a molecule called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase. Now here's where it gets fascinating. Luciferin and luciferase aren't single universal chemicals. They're categories. Different organisms have evolved completely different versions of them. A jellyfish's luciferin is molecularly different from a dinoflagellate's, which is different from a squid's. The chemical structures don't even look alike. So what does that tell us? Bioluminescence didn't evolve once and then spread through the tree of life like a shared inheritance. It evolved independently, at least 40 to 50 separate times. That's convergent evolution on a massive scale. Completely different creatures in completely different corners of the ocean, all arriving at the same solution. When in doubt, make light. When a trait evolves that many times independently, it's a pretty good sign it's incredibly useful. Here's how the reaction actually works. Luciferin combines with oxygen in the presence of the luciferase enzyme. That reaction excites electrons in the luciferin molecule, and when those electrons drop back to their normal state, they release energy. In most chemical reactions, that energy becomes heat, but in bioluminescence, it becomes light. Photons, visible to the eye. Scientists call it cold light, because it's astonishingly efficient. Up to 90% of the energy becomes light, not heat. Compare that to an incandescent light bulb, which wastes most of its energy as warmth. Inside these animals are tiny cellular factories, constantly ready to flip a chemical on switch and paint the water around them with light. Some can control it with incredible precision, turning it on and off in milliseconds, adjusting brightness, even tweaking the color slightly by changing the chemistry. And this isn't rare. Scientists estimate that up to 76% of pelagic animals, those living in the open ocean, can produce light. The deeper you go, the more common it becomes. In the mesopelagic zone, that twilight layer between 200 and 1,000 meters deep, bioluminescence is almost the rule, not the exception. Some researchers have called it the most common form of communication on Earth, simply because there's so much ocean, so much of it is dark, and so many creatures down there are talking in light. Before we go deeper, I want to quickly clear up 3 terms that often get tangled together. Bioluminescence, making light using chemistry inside your own body. Biofluorescence, absorbing light of one color and re-emitting it as another, like a highlighter glowing under a UV light. And phosphorescence, storing light energy and releasing it slowly over time, like glow-in-the-dark stickers. In this episode, we're mostly focused on bioluminescence, the self-made light. But we'll visit biofluorescence later because honestly, it deserves its moment too. Now, why does any of this exist? Because once you're below about 200 meters, sunlight fades fast. Colors disappear, plants can't photosynthesize. You enter a world that is permanently dim or completely, utterly dark. In that kind of environment, making your own light is like owning the only satellite phone in a blackout. You suddenly have an enormous advantage. Light in the deep ocean is currency. It's information, it's defense, camouflage, and seduction all at once. Let's meet some of the creatures who figured that out. Let's start small, really small. If you've ever seen glowing waves at night, that starlight glitter when you splash in the surf, that electric blue that traces behind a boat's wake, you've already met bioluminescent plankton. These single-celled organisms hang out near the surface in massive numbers. When they're disturbed by waves, by swimmers, by a fish moving through them, they flash blue. Each individual flash is brief, but when you have billions of them responding together, the result is breathtaking. Glowing shorelines, blue wake trails behind boats, waves that look like someone poured starlight into the water. Scientists think these plankton flash mostly as a defense. The sudden light startles predators. It also acts like a burglar alarm, lighting up the predator so something bigger might come eat them instead. The plankton are essentially yelling, "Hey, over here, something is trying to eat me, come quick," while simultaneously turning their attacker into a floating neon sign. Not great news for the predator, incredibly clever for something that is essentially a glowing cell with a tail. If you've never seen bioluminescent plankton in person, it's high on my everyone should experience this once list. There's something quietly emotional about watching a dark shoreline come alive with tiny blue sparks. Every time a wave breaks, it feels like the ocean is breathing light. These are microscopic beings doing this, invisible to the naked eye individually, but together they light up the sea. I think about that a lot when things feel small, when what I'm doing feels too tiny to matter. Sometimes it's the smallest things in the largest numbers that create something breathtaking. Here's where it gets real for conservation though. Bioluminescent dinoflagellates are sensitive. Water temperature, water quality, nutrient levels, all of it affects them. As coastal waters warm due to climate change, or when agriculture runoff creates toxic algae blooms, these delicate organisms are among the first to suffer. Some bioluminescent bays, like Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico, one of the brightest in the world, have dimmed significantly due to coastal development, light pollution, and hurricane damage. The organisms are still there, but in lower numbers, and the glow is fainter. There's also a threat we don't talk about enough: artificial light pollution. Coastal areas lit up at night can disrupt the behavior of bioluminescent plankton and the animals that depend on natural light cues. Even light itself can be a pollutant. Let that sit for a second. Okay, before we meet more of the deep sea glowers, I wanted to take a detour. Because we've been seeing bioluminescence for as long as we've been going to sea. We just didn't know what it was. Ancient sailors reported burning seas, white water that glowed as their ships cut through the waves. Aristotle wrote about it. In the 1500s, European explorers crossing tropical oceans at night reported vast stretches of glowing water that looked like fields of snow or milk. For centuries, no one knew what caused it. Some thought it was phosphorus in the water, hence the old term phosphorescence, which we now know is technically inaccurate. Others thought it was decaying organic matter or some kind of electrical phenomenon. It wasn't until the late 1800s that scientists began to understand that living organisms were making the light. French physiologist Raphael Dubois was one of the pioneers. In the 1800s, he worked with bioluminescent clams, naming the molecules luciferin and luciferase after Lucifer, the light bearer. One of my favorite historical moments, Charles Darwin. During the voyage of the Beagle in 1832, Darwin observed bioluminescent plankton off the coast of South America. He wrote in his journal about the sea appearing luminous, describing how every part of the water that was agitated glowed with a pale light. He was witnessing dinoflagellates, though he didn't know it at the time. What strikes me in his sense of wonder, he was seeing something science couldn't yet explain, and instead of dismissing it, he leaned in. He documented it carefully. He let himself be moved by something he didn't fully understand yet. I think that's a good way to approach a lot of things, honestly. During World War II, bioluminescence became a tactical concern. Submarines and ships moving through tropical waters at night would leave glowing wakes from disturbed plankton, potentially giving away their positions. Military planners tried to figure out how to suppress the glow. Imagine that, a single-celled organism just trying to defend itself, accidentally becoming part of human warfare. The ocean has been involved in our stories for longer and in more ways than we often remember. Okay, so let's meet some of the glow-up icons of the deep. The anglerfish. You've seen this one, probably in a documentary or a Pixar movie. Big teeth, big head, long rod sticking out from its forehead with a glowing tip. That glowing lure is filled with bioluminescent bacteria. The fish provides shelter and nutrients. The bacteria provides light. Together, they build a trap. Small fish and other animals are drawn to the glow in the otherwise black water. When they swim close enough, snap. Dinner time. This is a beautiful example of symbiosis. Two completely different organisms, each with something the other needs, finding a way to make something neither could do alone. I think that's worth sitting with. The anglerfish's light isn't even really its own. It's shared. It's collaborative. In one of the most hostile environments on Earth, the answer was partnership. Next up, the lanternfish. These small fish are covered in tiny light organs called photophores, which they can control like rows of dimmable LEDs. But here's what makes them extraordinary. They use light not to stand out, but to disappear. When a predator looks up from below, it sees a dark silhouette against the faint light filtering down from the surface. Lanternfish counter this by matching the color and brightness of that downwelling light, effectively erasing their own shadow. It's called counter-illumination, stealth mode powered by bioluminescence. In a world where being seen often means being eaten, a good lighting system is literally life-saving. Okay, so now here's the part that should make us pause. Lanternfish are one of the most abundant vertebrates on the planet. There are an estimated 660 million tons of them in the ocean, more biomass than all human fisheries combined. They migrate vertically every single day, rising toward the surface at night to feed and descending to deeper water during the day in what scientists call the diel-vertical migration, one of the largest movements of biomass on Earth. And when they feed near the surface and then swim down to digest in the deep, they transport carbon from the surface to the deep ocean. They are part of what scientists call the biological pump, one of the ocean's critical systems for regulating atmospheric CO2. There is a growing interest in harvesting lanternfish for fish meal and omega-3 supplements. And if we start doing that on an industrial scale before we fully understand their role, we could be dismantling a system we don't even fully comprehend yet. It's the deep sea mining problem all over again, extracting resources from a place we barely understand with consequences we can't predict. The ocean keeps telling us the same thing: slow down. You don't know what you're taking yet. Up next, and this is one of my favorites, the Hawaiian bobtail squid houses bioluminescent bacteria in a special light organ in its body. At night, it uses this light to match the moonlight filtering down from above. Counter illumination again, so it doesn't cast a shadow when viewed from below. A tiny squid and a colony of bacteria cooperating so the squid doesn't cast a shadow. That's such a gentle, intimate image of survival to me. And it gets more tender. The squid actually gardens its bacterial partners. It controls how many bacteria live in the light organ, maintaining the relationship carefully. In one of the darkest places on Earth, the answer was find something to work alongside. Tend to it, keep the light going together. The firefly squid, small squid with bright blue photophores on their arms and bodies, capable of coordinating their flashes. In certain seasons, huge numbers of them gather close to the shore in Japan, turning the water electric blue. Crowds of people come to just watch the shoreline pulse with living light. These lights are used for communication, for mating, maybe for confusing predators. From a human perspective, they're a natural festival, a reminder that the ocean doesn't need our intervention to be breathtaking. Sometimes it just needs us to show up and pay attention. Let's pull back and look at the patterns, because in the deep ocean, light isn't decorative, it's functional. It's everything. Lanternfish, bobtail squid, matching the light from above them to erase their silhouette, hiding not by going dark, but by mirroring what's around them. That's camouflage by imitation. Anglerfish using light as bait, some deep-sea dragon shining light at wavelengths their prey can't see, like having a private flashlight channel. Plankton flashing to startle attackers and call attention to them. Some shrimp and squid can squirt glowing clouds of liquid light, like tossing a glowing smoke grenade and running the opposite direction. It's a great defense and alarm system. Some species use unique flash patterns to recognize their own kind, or even individual mates, synchronized flashing to coordinate spawning. Imagine being in a place so dark that the only way to say, "Hey, I'm over here," is to blink in code. Bright light as a signal of toxicity. I taste terrible, move along. That's a great warning signal. In every case, the light serves connection between predator and prey, between mates, between self and survival. Even in the complete absence of sunlight, life found a way to reach towards something. So let's visit bioluminescence cousin, biofluorescence. Some marine animals don't make their own light. Instead, they take high-energy light, UV or blue, and re-emit it as vivid greens, reds, or oranges. Under regular daylight, they look pretty normal. Under UV light, they glow like they're at a blacklight party. This has been documented in corals, which can light up in electric greens and reds. in fish with intricate fluorescent patterns, even in sea turtles. In 2015, researchers documented the first bioluminescent sea turtle. In 2020, the first biofluorescent manta ray was filmed. We are still in the early days of even understanding all of this. Scientists think biofluorescence may help with species recognition, like name tags visible only to the other members of the same species. In 2014, researchers discovered that many fish have yellow filters in their eyes that let them see fluorescent patterns completely invisible to us. Two fish that look identical to the human eye might look completely different to each other. There's also evidence that some predators use biofluorescence as camouflage. Certain scorpionfish have fluorescent patterns that match the corals they hide in. To a prey fish, with the right vision, the predator simply disappears into the reef. The ocean keeps showing us there are entire conversations happening that we don't have the tools to even hear yet. So how do scientists study something that live in the dark? It's harder than you'd think. Bringing deep-sea animals to the surface usually kills them. The pressure change, the temperature shift, the trauma of capture. Even if they survive, they often won't glow in a lab tank the way they do in the wild. Stress shuts down the light. So researchers get creative. Organizations like the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute use remotely operated vehicles equipped with special low-light cameras sent down into the deep to record bioluminescence without flooding the area with artificial light. Dr. Edith Wider, one of the foremost bioluminescence researchers in the world, developed something called the Eye in the Sea, a camera system that sits on the sea floor and records in complete darkness using only the light produced by the animals themselves. She also created an electronic jellyfish that mimics the bioluminescent burglar alarm display of a real jellyfish. When a predator attacks the fake jellyfish, it triggers a light show and the camera records what shows up to investigate. That's how her team captured the first footage of a giant squid in its natural habitat. In 2012, a creature that had eluded scientists for over a century finally found by mimicking the light of something smaller. Sometimes the way to find the extraordinary is to pay close attention to the ordinary. And here's the humbling part. Despite all of this technology, we've probably observed only a tiny fraction of bioluminescent behaviors in the wild. Most of the deep ocean remains unexplored. For every glowing creature we've documented, there are likely dozens we've never seen. The ocean is always ahead of us. Every time we develop a new tool, a new way of looking, it reveals something we've missed. So what have we learned from the light? Bioluminescence isn't just beautiful. Though it is that, humans have quietly been learning from it and using it. Scientists have taken light-producing proteins from marine organisms and used them as tools in labs to study cells, track gene expression, monitor environmental pollution. These glowing molecules can report on what's happening inside living cells without needing to crack them open. There are projects using bioluminescent bacteria to detect toxins in water. If the bacteria's light dims, something in the water is interfering with their biology. Light becomes an early warning system. The ocean, again, teaching us how to pay attention. I want to stay here for a minute before we close. There's something that moves me deeply about the idea that the darkest parts of our planet are full of light made by life. Not light from outside, not borrowed light, light that these creatures make themselves from within in conditions that would crush most things. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, about what it means to generate your own light when the environment isn't providing any, when things feel heavy and dark and overwhelming and the surface feels very far away. These animals didn't wait for better conditions. They didn't wait for the sun to reach them. In the total absence of outside light, they evolve the ability to make their own. Not just to survive, but to communicate, to connect, to find each other across impossible distances of dark water. That feels like something worth holding on to. These glowing ecosystems are vulnerable right now. Climate change is altering ocean temperatures and chemistry. Pollution, from microplastics to agriculture runoff to artificial light, is reaching into places we never thought we could touch. Deep sea mining threatens communities we barely understand yet. We can't protect what we don't know, and we rarely fight for what we don't love. That's why I keep coming back to connection before conservation. Not because the science doesn't matter, it does desperately, but because most people don't change their behavior for a graph. They change it for a feeling, for a story, for a moment when something in the dark suddenly makes sense. So next time you think about the ocean at night, I hope you don't picture emptiness. I hope you picture what's actually there, a living conversation in light. Plankton flashing in self-defense, squid blinking in code to find their mates, tiny bacterial colonies kept alive by a small squid who tends to them carefully in the dark. An entire world lit from within. And maybe when your own situation feels dark, when the pressure is immense, when the surface feels out of reach, maybe you remember that the darkest places on Earth figured out how to glow. Not because the conditions were right. Because life, when pushed far enough into the dark, finds a way to make its own light. Even in the deep, something is shining. Thank you for diving into the dark with me today. If this episode made you see the sea a little differently, share it with someone who could use a little wonder right now. That's how we grow this circle, one story, one spark at a time. I'd love to hear your own glowing ocean stories. Have you ever seen bioluminescence in person? Leave a comment and let me know. Next time on Salt and Siren, we're mixing things up a little bit, and we will be talking about The Day After Tomorrow, the science behind the film, and why the ocean plays such a critical role in our climate. It's grounded in real science, and I promise you won't want to miss it. Until then, keep listening to the ocean, keep caring, and remember, connection before conservation. And that's all the tide brought in today. I'll meet you next time where we'll keep exploring what lies beneath the surface.